again. Like, he didn't get like a snap before that game, didn't get a snap after. It was like, okay. Grayson Lambert, I think, ended up like 10-1 or something as a starter because he didn't have that Florida loss that year. But yeah, it was it was an interesting experiment.
Last thing before we get into our Green Coach Heat Index, Matt Green, can Alabama fans rep Jalen Hurts? You wanted to throw this out here because you want chaos, Matt Green. You don't want people to enjoy things. Make the case, Matt Green.
The AD Mitchell, that was the segue because honestly, I'm embarrassed to be a Georgia fan on Twitter this week with this damn good dog stuff. Hashtag DGD. It's a thing that Georgia fans do that it's like, oh yeah, he's damn good dog. You know, it's like he's a great player for Georgia. He's beloved, you know. May not have been an All-American, you know, but gave everything to the university. That whole spiel, you know. And then so now it's like AD Mitchell's transferring. He's damn good dog. It's like, he's not a damn good dog. He transferred. He's not a dog, whatever. So it just got me thinking about, now I've seen this Jalen Hurts stuff. What was the stat? Some ESPN, someone had the stat of first Alabama quarterback to win a playoff game since like 1983. And it's like, well, hold on. Jalen Hurts isn't an Alabama quarterback. Like, AD Mitchell's going to Texas now. Like, I'll forever love AD Mitchell. I'll remember his career fondly. As Alabama fans should love Jalen Hurts. Like, you know, got beat out, still stuck it out, and had that clutch SEC championship performance as the backup. Like, but he left Alabama and he became an Oklahoma player. Like, he is like, you look at the roster, it's Jalen Hurts, Oklahoma. And especially in his specific situation, he wouldn't be in the NFL if he didn't go to Oklahoma. Like, what he did at Alabama, like, that guy wasn't an NFL quarterback. Like, he was solid in college, but he wasn't. That's the reason he got beat out, right? Like, but when he went to Oklahoma, like, not only did he have the best rushing season of his career, he had by far the best passing year. I was like, who is this guy? Like, this is why I questioned Jalen Hurts at Alabama, because he didn't ever play like he did at Oklahoma. So it's like, him specifically, it's like Oklahoma is what turned him into an NFL quarterback, as far as I'm concerned. So on the roster, he's got Oklahoma there. And like AD Mitchell, as I love him, but he's going to get drafted next year, and it's going to be wide receiver AD Mitchell, Texas. He's not a dog anymore. So I don't like this Alabama repping AD Mitchell. What say you? Or repping Jalen Hurts. What say you?
What I say is a more broader thing that we're now going to have to deal with, Matt Green. With the portal era, can I say that I feel bad for these kids now? They're not going to feel it yet, but they're going to feel it like 10 years from now, where they don't have like a home, like a college home, where they can't come back and like do cool tours and be beloved by like one town and one university forever. Where like, it's hard for a 20-year-old, 21-year-old to see that and think about that kind of legacy and like what happens after football and like the 15 to 20 years. But like, you see that with all the Georgia players. You see it with all, like, I see it here at Tennessee, like Jason Swain obviously has a sports radio show here. Will Overstreet could have transferred around, but he's on the Sunday Sports Source show. He pops in. Ron Slay pops in. Like, Peerless Price can come up. He's popping in. But like, you have the same thing in Georgia, where I'm like, I feel bad for these kids, because I think one of the things that they're going to find later in life is like those connections too, that they're not going to have, because they're going to bounce around from school to school, where it's like, if you're like you said, a DGD and at one particular school, and you're pretty solid there, you're going to make a lot of connections. You can go back after you graduate and like after your football career is over, and you'll have all these connections to be like, hey, I went to UGA, I'm going to use this pipeline and all these different influencers to help me find what's next. That sort of thing. Like, you'll be in that, you're in the family, right? For a long time.
I think those known like connections, I think will kind of still be there. Cause I think from like a player coach perspective, it's like, they think of it totally different than fans. Like, I remember Justin Fields was like at like some Georgia scrimmage, like the year after he transferred. And it was just like, the players are probably like, yeah, you know, we came in at the same time. We're boys. Kirby's like, yeah, recruit him. Love the kid, love the family, you know, all that stuff. So it's like, oh, anything you need, I'll help you, whatever you need. You know, it's like, you're always a friend of mine, that sort of thing. But I feel like it's like the unknown connections of just some random Georgia person that's just,
Yep.
oh, I would love to give Tavares King a shot to do. I love.
Yeah.
He played for the school for 4 or 5 years or something. It's like it's that stuff that I think you'll miss out on. Like the hype videos Georgia makes in week out, week in and week out, that like Garrison Hurst or something will be like a random narrator. It's like you're not going to be doing that stuff. You had the game winning catch in the national championship for Georgia. Like one of the more memorable moments in the history of the football program. But now it's going to say Texas next to your name when you go to the pros, and it's like you're not going to be like, some 20-year anniversary championship team. Yeah, you might be there, but like you're not going to be the guy signing autographs that everyone wants to. You're not going to be narrating the hype videos. Like you're not going to be. There's going to be things that you miss out on. You're not just going to be, universally beloved. It's going to be some people that are like, oh yeah, but he transferred. The him and Haw kind of stuff. So it's
not going to be a career.
It's not unconditional love.
No. And I think that's like part of the deal. If like you do it, like it's just no one's faulting you for it. Like I get it. I get why, and we'll see what he does. I mean, he'll have a good opportunity there. He'll probably, look, I think playing with Quinn Ewers and or Arch Manning, it's gonna be pretty cool. And I understand why he's doing it. But like you said, like if it's a 1-year thing, it just kind of clouds it. Where I also wonder, would his draft stock really change all that much spending that final year at Georgia versus that final year at Texas? If that's how it goes, it's like, I don't know, like these interconference moves too, where I'm just like, what are we doing? Like, are we sure? And I don't know. It's just hard for me to just tell. I don't want to tell okay what he should and shouldn't do. And these kids are making the best decisions they possibly can, and it's tough and complicated. I'm sure there's so many contributing factors behind the scenes that we'll never be privy to or understand and know. But like, I think we're on the same page here. And you mentioned players are understand, and I think that's true by and large. Players do. But the coaches will talk about it where it's like it does. I think Kirby's talked about it where it just kind of sucks of like these kids are going to who bounce around a little bit don't have that. Like if you stay at Georgia, even if you don't become a star or whatever, like you got to remember too, most of these guys who play at even Georgia are not going to last very long in the NFL. Most won't get drafted. Most won't pan out. But if you stay in the system and with NIL being pretty good, I think across the board at Georgia, you still have this stuff to fall back on where you're just kind of beloved, like you said, when you go back to Athens or you run into people and they're like, oh, are you A.D. Mitchell was part of the title team and all that for years? Like you'll get that for 40 years after you graduate and you tell someone who you are. You're like, oh yeah, you were awesome at that time. Like and then you never know what door that opens for you professionally, personally, whatever. But if it's kind of clouded and it's like you're sitting at home, like who do you even cheer for? Like when you're older and your playing days are done, are you like, I'm a Texas guy, I'm a Georgia guy? Like what even am I? Like what's my identity?
Like if I'm putting together my all UGA team on Madden in a few years, I need quarterback depth. I might throw Jacob Eason on there. I might throw AD Mitchell on there because like, he played. We'll try to, have some leeway or something. But just from like I don't know, remembering like being remembered like an all-time great, like it's just not really going to be that way. Like Kirby Smart's always going to have love for him. And maybe he came to him months ago. He's like, hey man, I really want to be closer to my family, whatever the case may be. Yeah. And he's just like, totally understand, do your thing. And there's no love lost. Like that's probably more the case, but from a fan perspective, it's just like, nah, man, you're not on our team anymore. It says you got a different name in a different college in your profile now. It's over.
And that's just what it is. It's gonna complicate it. And it's another thing that just hurts the sport, I think, and it hurts the fans. It's good for the players, I get it, and that's great, but it does kind of hurt because it's just you're like, man, that kind of stinks. And I think if you asked a lot of the Georgia alums and the Georgia guys who had okay careers and all that after the fact, but like none of them are like, man, I made a mistake, like with sticking around and doing what I did. Cause like if you talk to Peerless or any of these guys, like I think they would all tell you like it's pretty cool to just be like beloved all time by this fan base and have this one just this part of my life that's like there's no doubt that this was like awesome part of my life and like I am a Vol forever. Like that was it. Like that's how people remember me is like that. It's not like, well, he was a Vol for a little bit and then he was an Indiana Hoosier and then he was a Wake Forest Demon Deacon. You're like, you just kind of, it's just not the same.
It's like Veron Haynes or something.
Yeah.
Like just a a solid player. Maybe he was on an NFL roster for a handful of years as a fullback, but like his senior year makes one of the iconic plays in Georgia football history. And it's like, he'll just forever be famous for that hobnail boot play. So it's like, you know, you transfer at the first sign of any sort of adversity 2 years in, you don't necessarily get that same experience. But, you know, it's these guys' decisions to make. It's funny because the MLB Hall of Fame in Cooperstown's kind of having the same issue in recent years of guys always, their little plaque always went in and had a team on the hat. And so it's like now in recent years, there's the Greg Maddoxes, they're like Cubs and Braves, like Randy Johnson was Diamondback and Mariner. Like some guys had like really good careers, and some are going in like just a blank hat without any logo at all. So
I mean, we get weird stuff like Peyton like doesn't even like he's all Broncos all the time. You kind of like clearly there's a bad taste in his mouth still from that and how that ended. So it's like we're just pretending kind of like the Colts era did not happen because of how it ended with.
So Peyton's not even a Colts guy anymore.
No, like he's Broncos. I mean, he still lives in Colorado. He's a Broncos
Is that right?
Broncos guy. Seems like he identifies a lot more with the Broncos than he does the Colts these days. He had a beef.
And I've always wondered about pro players from that perspective. If you're just like I feel like if you're a baseball player, you played for a few teams, you played for the Yankees, you're like, I'm a Yankee forever. Like it just seems like that type of thing. But I don't know, maybe where you had the most success. I don't know. Steven Jackson, like he ended up in Atlanta, but I would think he's repping his Rams career more than what he did in Atlanta.
Yeah, I don't know. Maybe it was just I don't know. It just seems like he favors the Broncos more. I don't know if that's how he feels personally, but it does seem like he's more, I don't know, to me anyway, that he feels that he's probably more Denver than Indy these days. But I don't know. Who knows? Matt Green. It's time for our main event here, our hot seat index for college football coaches. We have a lot here, 13 in total to get through. Some we had overlap, some we didn't. We'll break it down based on cool, warm, and hot going into the 2023 college football season. And I think we have to start, Matt Green, with Mike Norvell, the head football coach at Florida State University. Matt, what says you about where he currently sits going into next year?
Well, first things first, you know, I'm not above admitting when I'm wrong. And I called for Mike Norvell's job last year. I said he was going to be the guy who lost his job after a third subpar season at Florida State, but that was not the case. So he is definitely trending cooler right now. I'm putting it at a 6 still because 10-3, it was a great season, but I don't forget 3 and I can almost forget 3 and 6 COVID year and first season, but 5-7 in 2021.